My name is Mika Stefano. I used to be an entertainment blogger. I started my entertainment blog from actually working at the theatre in Sandton, the Auto and General Theatre on the Square. The whole reason why I did the blog, or the entertainment blog, was because I was very passionate after studying theatre and performing arts, just to push local entertainment. It would be so painful if you'd ask someone to name 5 actors and they'd easily name 5 international actors but never 5 local actors. So and there would be many local actors, great actors, some maybe not that great, but some really good actors who would never get the recognition. So the whole entertainment blog spun out of that, and then kind of when internet kind of raised its popularity and lots of people became socially active online, the whole blogging kind of thing kind of died down, and then I kind of transformed myself into a fitness kind of person after losing 30 kgs. So I became very fitness inspired and re-identified myself within the fitness space. Now I teach at Sweat 1000, which is a private gym here in Johannesburg, and funny, the whole time whilst being at the gym, doing the entertainment blogging, the bits of radio and TV stuff, I've been at the Theatre on the Square in Sandton as the marketing, front of house publicity manager.
The theatre came before the blog?
So, I think I used the internet at the theatre to launch the blog, and yeah, that's how the blog came about. But yeah, I think it was similar timing of working at the theatre, kind of. It was almost at the time when MySpace was very popular, and then I'd set up my MySpace profile here at the theatre, and that's how the entertainment blog kind of parallel to me working at the theatre began.
I'm more interested in for now, the work within the art performance space, especially theatre, because I would think that most people don't actually know that that's what you do. Like, you are one of the people behind the scenes when it comes to the theatre industry in South Africa. So what shaped your decision to get into performance art space, especially theatre?
I studied at the National School of Arts here in Johannesburg, Braamfontein. I also did another course at the National School of Arts with, it was a specialized course within performing arts, directing, producing, writing. So it was always something that I was passionate about, something that I wanted to do from a young age. When I finished school, I did a few short little plays at the Johannesburg Theatre, some Shakespeare plays, and then from then I started working at the Market Theatre. I was at the Market Theatre for maybe almost a year, working in the marketing department at the Market Theatre, and then the opportunity to work at the theatre in Sandton became available, and I've been at the theatre now I think almost 13 years, working at the Auto and General, now the Auto and General Theatre on the Square. So it's always been something that I've been passionate about, and I think that's the magic with theatre. So like, there's TV, and TV is very like prepared, whereas theatre is live, and I think that's the magic of theatre. Just seeing one show, maybe the same show every night, but every night, because the audience is different, the way they react is completely different to what the show is. So you may have a comedian, and one audience may get him, and then another audience won't actually get him, and then the show seems flat. So I think that's the beauty of it, being live in the moment every night, and that's quite magical, seeing it come to life.
Did you have any key mentors or people who deeply influence who you are, what you believe in, and what you committed to in your work and life? Tell me about them.
I've had a few people who I've looked up to within my journey. I think when I was still at school, literally like next to where we used to live, there were a group of theatre actors, performers from Market Theatre days. Vanessa Cook, Bruce Koch, these are like people who worked with Barney Simon, and they were at the Market Theatre, very much surrounded in the Market Theatre when the Market Theatre was doing great theatre many years ago, long before I was even born, kind of thing. And I think that's when I got my first taste of theatre and what it can do and what it can say. And I did many of my projects around Vanessa Cook and the work that she did at the Market Theatre, and also with the Market Theatre Laboratory, making it a place where people can actually learn how to use theatre and performing arts, not only for performing, but just for enriching their lives. And then it was so funny. It's like no, I won't tell you that story. But it was so so it was so funny that then moving to the Auto and General Theatre here in Sandton, then just working so closely with Daphne Kuhn, who's a private producer. Many of the theatres in the country are supported by the government, whereas this theatre is one of the long-running theatres that are a private funded theatre. So it's really nice that it's a private run theatre, but it does such diverse work, such a spectrum of different stuff, from plays, musicals, comedies, children's theatre, more adult themed shows. So it's really something that is always diverse and always a melting pot of different stuff. So yeah, I've learned a lot working closely with Daphne Kuhn, who produces many of the shows at the theatre. And then just whilst working at the theatre, just working with many different artists who have come in, and it's so exciting to see, because every show is different. So you'd always work with different people every 2-3 weeks. It's a different show. Different show means a different audience. Different audience means different people, different marketing, how to advertise, get certain people in to come watch the show, who would appreciate the show. And it's so funny because a lot of the younger actors are kind of the divas almost, whereas the people who have been in the game for a long time, who have been in the industry for a while, they're the ones who are a lot more humble, and it's really nice seeing people who are already big names who are now all of a sudden like really approachable, and that's been really nice working with some big theatre icons.
How has your parents' success or achievements shaped your approach in life, given that your mom was a model, she worked in different productions, and also your dad comes from like a music fraternity and also productions in different platforms or outlets like theatre?
Mm-hmm. What is the question?
How has your parents' success or achievements shaped your approach to life?
So I think the fact that my father is a musician and he's in the industry definitely gave me an idea of what the industry is about, and it's not just about the glitz and glam, because he was a musician, but he wasn't like the lead singer, and you'd always get the idea of, oh, the musician just rocks up whatever, but there's a lot more to it, the actual business side of it. You need to, even though you are a musician and it seems like a casual job, you need to remember that it's a job. It's not just like a gig having fun. So with that comes, you need to send invoices, you need to have good business relationships. So all of those things have definitely played an influence on myself with various aspects of what I do. It's not just about going to the gym and having fun, but there's also a business side to it, or going to the theatre, or going to write blogs or whatever. There's another side to it, and I think that has kind of influenced me in terms of like there's more to it than just actually what you see, but there's a whole other end, and many people get lost with, oh, they think they can just be an actor and act on TV or whatever, but if they're not business minded and they don't remember that it's a job, it's a craft, and it's something that they need to skill themselves in and always keep nurturing and investing in, then other people will overtake them. So it's quite important to remember that you're a business at the end of the day as well.
In the theatre space, what are some of the pain points of trying to work at a slower pace, given that everything today operates so quickly?
So I think the beauty of working at the Theatre on the Square in Sandton is it is still very hands-on, and I think that really makes it a little bit different to these big mega house theatres where you just book your tickets online, you go in, there's no personal approach. Here it's very personal. There's a small staff of 8 people who have been at the theatre from almost day one, and it's very approachable. It's almost like you're going back home to a familiar place. You see familiar faces that you know. It's very personal, so if you feel like, oh, I want to share something about the show, you're more than welcome to share with our lighting designer or our sound engineer, myself, the owner. We can make it a lot more approachable and a lot more hands-on. I don't know what I'm talking about. What was the question? Like I was going somewhere, was I not?
You were going somewhere. Okay, for example, what would you say a media or a platform for the arts like theatre in comparison to how people consume a form of entertainment, let's say for example social media, because social media happens ever so quickly, whereas a theatre, it's something that takes time. A production takes time for people to come enjoy it.
I think, I don't know if I'm answering your question or I'm going to ramble on, but like, so yes, there's social media, and a large part of it is competition to theatre goers because it happens so immediately, whereas theatre, if you look at the roots of theatre, it was about people coming together to experience something together, and it being the only source of entertainment. In many, many different cultures, people would come and watch a dance show or a ritual or something of theatrical value, whereas now people have Netflix, they have access to many different options of getting entertained on their mobile phones, online. So there's definitely a big competition with people coming to the theatre and them being online, but being able to fuse the two, so still remembering that yes, there is online, but we are a theatre, and even though it's a specific art form to a certain type of LSM, an older audience, but we still want to encourage young people to come to the theatre. So we do use stuff like social media to obviously market and advertise the shows, and then certain shows we do encourage people to tweet during the show or post during the show or interact during the show. So it depends on the show. Some of the shows that are obviously straight plays, you can't be doing stuff like that, but when there's like stand-up comedy shows and maybe more music shows, we encourage that kind of stuff. That's where we can interact with people on a social online platform. With the same breath, I don't think we must completely alienate the idea of theatre and it being an in-the-moment kind of live moment. So even though we could put videos up of what's happening at the theatre, it takes away from the magic of actually being at the theatre. So there's always that.
What would you say is the one problem you intend to solve with your work in the theatre that you can think of right now? Like a social problem that you think your work solves in life?
Social problem?
Yeah.
My work. Meaning, so
Yeah.
like, because the theatre stages different productions and there's different productions with different themes, different topics, each of those productions can change people in various ways. So say if we had a show early on in the year, it was about bullying in high schools. So it doesn't sound like a fun, entertaining show, but we're not selling it to people who would be coming to watch a stand-up comedy or a musical. We're selling it to maybe schools where bullying happens, or people who may have just come out of school, or people who are studying medicine, or different kinds of people that possibly after seeing that show they will now be changed, or they would have something to think about, or they'll walk out saying, oh, we didn't know that. So every show that is staged, the idea is not only to entertain but also to slightly educate people, slightly move them, make them think about stuff. The current show that we have on, it's dealing with death and what people think of death, and the artist himself, he's taken different Shakespeare plays to kind of explain death and what it means, so that can help people who are either psychologists who are dealing with that, or everyone dies. So like, that's the idea with theatre, and the beauty with theatre is always to not only entertain, because if it was an entertainment venue then we wouldn't be educating people. So we strive to have a nice balance of both entertaining, educating, informing, making people think. Yeah. I don't know if that answers.
Fabulously well. You derailed for a bit, but if you're not doing what you're doing today, what would you do? Do you have any other dream jobs outside the theatre industry?
I think working at the theatre has been a great job, a dream job indeed. I think I would definitely be within the entertainment-y kind of space, somewhere along the lines of entertainment. So yeah, I don't know where, but I think I'm quite content right now. I think using, like I said earlier, the idea of mixing both business as well as entertainment, creative, is something that I would like to do or would have done. So somewhere within that space.
Are there limits to human creativity?
Are there limits to human creativity? No, there shouldn't be limits to human creativity, but I think nowadays society makes people feel like, oh, they need to have limits, and I think you realize those limits whilst growing up. if you look at a child, they have no inhibitions. They feel like they can fly on top of the world, but then they slowly grow up and they realize people around them are doing certain things. They need to act a certain way. They need to be boxed in a certain manner, and then I think that's when they build their own limitations of, oh, we can't do that, we can't do that. So there shouldn't be, but I think because society creates a way of us thinking, then there has become.
And can you tell from paper if a proposed production piece will be a hit or not?
We get many productions, people who want to produce shows at the theatre or have an idea that they'd like to do shows. We always say, like, who is going to come watch the show? And yes, some shows may be greatly entertaining, or they may have an enormous educational piece driving it. Who is going to come watch the show? As important as it is to tell a show about HIV prevention or rape or different serious issues, at the same time you need to realize who is going to actually come watch the show. So if there's ways of balancing it out, so it is important to be telling stories like that, shows like that, but maybe not in this kind of space. Maybe it's a platform where you can maybe take it to different schools or take it to different learning centers or different town halls or whatnot, so that the education can still be the driving force that gets it out there, but maybe not in this platform. So sometimes you'd get a show and it is important to tell, but you know that it won't be a box office hit because it doesn't have that entertainment buying factor that people want to buy into, especially when you're competing with so many other stuff. So yes and no. You can tell when something, okay, this may do well or this may not do well, but then we have lots of shows which you would assume, okay, this wouldn't do too well, and then it surprises us. We're like, okay, this really, really does do well. We've seen recently at the theatre that a lot more of our straight plays, normal theatre productions, do a lot better than some of our musicals and comedies, and that's obviously tells us that people want to see a lot more theatre as opposed to glitzy musicals, singing Broadway hits and that kind of thing. They want to see something that kind of moves them, makes them think, kind of makes them question things, but at the same time still a little bit more entertaining.
Then would you say to producers out there that the who really informs the final decision for a platform where a piece will be played?
The theatre is usually it's a producing house, meaning that we produce a lot of the shows which are staged here. So we'd have to either we produce the shows ourselves, depending on the show, or it's a 50-50 production, split rate, meaning everything creative is handled by the production, and then we handle all the running costs of the theatre and the venue, the staff, all of that, the infrastructure, or they can rent out the theatre. Obviously, because the most of the shows that we stage here are either productions that we produce or co-produce, we do have an influence on what would be put onto the stage and what we think would work and what won't work.
So what is the one theatre production you will not tire of that you can think of right now?
We keep on putting on and
no, do your personal one. What is the one theatre production that you can watch on until the cows come home?
I think there are various productions that we've staged here at the theatre that are just like real gems that you just keep on watching over and over again, and it always has something nice and different to it. I think many of the stand-up comedians are really exciting to watch because a lot of their shows are driven with audience participation, and it gets exciting because they may have one show planned, but because now they're interacting with the audience, you never know who's going to be in the audience. So it's always quite exciting to watch a show when it's a different audience every night, and then you get a different vibe for the show, and it becomes a completely different show every night. So yeah, shows are always changing and they're always different. I think there are many different shows that have different qualities that make it really entertaining to watch over and over again.
But you have the one.
I'm trying to be diplomatic.
It's fine, be diplomatic. Is there any musical production that you know word for word?
Any musical production?
Yeah.
So we're a smaller theatre, we don't really do big musical productions. but I do know many musical productions, not word for word, but I do know lots of Wizard of Oz, the Rocky Horror Show, various of If I Were a Rich Man. We have like little classical music concerts, and because I studied theatre and a lot of the my exams I'd have to perform like some musical theatre songs, and then I was like, oh, I performed that when I was at school or whatever. So it's like, oh, you got the word wrong, or oh, can you give it more energy? If I were a rich man. Come on, you look poor. If I were a rich man.
Which musical would you need the least preparation for to play a role in? And what would that role be?
Probably Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror Show, just because probably that's my nature of being very out there, over the top, a little bit witty and very sexy.
Do you think that those...
Did you say you did think? Yes,
no, wait. Do you think those qualities that you just mentioned are important to the work that you do?
I think me being sexy is very important quality. I mean, the theatre's really done well since I've been... yeah, they just come to see my legs. I think my wit has got me into a lot of trouble. My wit is quite funny, I think, but it's obviously not appreciated by a lot of people. We once had a sold-out evening of one of the Nick Rabinovich shows, completely sold out, and we have 2 chairs where if there's anyone in a wheelchair, there's space for them to come and sit and watch the show. But if there is no one in a wheelchair, then we put actual seats there so people can sit in those seats. So I said to the lady, we're completely full, but I can give you these 2 seats. They're extra chairs on the side of the theatre. She said, will I be able to see from the side? And then I said to her calmly, well, if you close your eyes, you won't see. And she didn't find it funny, and I thought it was hysterical. Everyone thought it was hysterical, but it wasn't taken well. But yes, my wit is also much needed at the theatre.
Cultural radar. What is moving the needle or hitting the cultural nerve right now?
So I think being in a country where there's so many different cultures, there's a lot of influence from various cultures, both here as well as international. And I think that's the beauty of being a South African, that there's so many different things influencing everything from food to lifestyle choices, to certain things we go watch, to things that we're reading, and I think that's the beauty of being a South African. And I don't think I could narrow it down to one cultural element that is driving what society are doing right now, but many different ones. And I think that's what it should stay as it should stay as a melting pot of various influences, just keeping everything quite diverse and quite colorful.
How do you define success for yourself?
So I define success for myself as various different things, but the key to the top of the different things would definitely have to be contentness and happiness and just being at ease. So yes, obviously like money and being informed and educated and having nice shoes are great, but I think just being happy is important. So if you're happy, I think you're rich with success.
Do you worry about money?
Do I worry about money? I think everyone worries about money in this economy. So yes, I think we worry about money. I do. Sadly, I do.
What do you know now that you didn't know then that you wish somebody told you?
Maybe I wish I knew that I should be maybe a lawyer or a doctor or get like a formal job, traditional job, but in a way I'm glad, because I'm really happy where I am right now in terms of like not having to do that whole 9-to-5 traditional kind of job kind of thing, and that's important. So I think I know everything I need to know now that has got me to where I am, so I don't think I'm short of knowing anything that I needed to know.
Okay.
Without sounding cocky, because that sounds cocky. Me saying, oh girl, I know everything I need to know.
What has been the lesson that took you the longest to learn?
And I can't mention names. Because it's one specific one that just keeps coming up. What is the lesson that I wish I had learned?
What is the lesson that took you the longest? You can contextualize the lesson without
I'm
names.
trying to keep it to the theme of the interview.
No, this is more personal, philosophical. It's not. It's part 3, girl. You are a dynamic person with more than just your life in theater.
So I think my lesson that it's taken me a while to learn is not to be too hard on yourself and to just take everything as it comes, not be so in your head, and rather do allow yourself to follow with your heart and lead with your heart, not just with your head, and not be so calculating, and take risks. Just take risks, and who knows where they may take you. There's all those silly quotes of rather take a risk and not regret it than regretting it and not taking the risk, kind of thing. So just taking risks and loving life and enjoying every moment, not thinking long term. I think that's always something that I've learned, but just always reminding yourself that don't be so hard on yourself. Just embrace every moment, embrace things around you, and then also it's okay to say no. So if you don't want to do certain things, then say no, I don't want to do certain things, even if it seems like it's selfish for one moment or whatever, but you're protecting yourself, and that's very important at the same time. Always protect yourself, put yourself first, whilst embracing every moment.
What is your daily prayer?
My daily prayer? I don't really have a daily prayer.
Immortal?
Which part 3 is this? Take me to church.
A prayer doesn't have to be necessarily knees down.
Because when I'm on my knees. So my daily motto, my daily prayer, so I've been reading this book, yes I read, called The 5 a.m. Club. Many people have read it, whatever, and there's some nice things that I've picked up from the book. One of them being, so your first hour of the day, your victory hour, you split it into 3 parts, 20, 20, 20. The first 20 being like a physical, giving yourself a little bit of sweat, and then the physical activity, exercise. Then the second 20 would be more kind of like a meditation, kind of prayer, planning your day ahead, so thinking about what you want to achieve over the day. And then the last would be kind of like informing yourself, educating yourself, kind of maybe listening to a podcast, watching an interesting interview, reading something. And I think maybe even though I don't do it in that specific way, I think those elements are very important to make someone quite happy, quite content, and just grow. So maybe just starting off my day, I walk my dog. Whilst walking my little dog, I think about things that I need to do over the day, plan my day, what I'd like to achieve. Then I'd exercise, so whilst exercising also reaffirm like this is what I need to do today. And I think just planting those seeds earlier on in the day will help develop them, because so many times we get so bombarded with what's happening on social media, what's happening around us, that we get distracted by things that we actually need to do. So just taking a few moments every day just to plot out your day, plan a script, and even though it doesn't go according to the script, just have some kind of direction of where you want to go.
Is love a choice or a feeling?
I think love is a feeling. You can't choose love. If you could, then things would have been different. But love is a feeling, and it's not just, there's various stages of love. So we did a show called Loving You, and it discusses different types of stages of love. The stage when you meet someone, the stage when you're infatuated, then when you're fighting, then you're quite aggressively in love. Then there's different types of love that you have for maybe a family member, a friend. You love a certain place that you go. So those are all feelings driven from the heart, not something that you think about. Yes, I may think about eating chocolate all the time, but I love it too. I really do. I don't know why I'm talking about this. I need to come clean. I'm a chocolate addict.
When do you know
and
that?
I mean chocolate, like chocolate,
Okay.
not chocolate, like don't be dirty.
When do you know that you're truly loved?
When do you know you're truly loved?
When do you know?
When do I know that I'm truly loved? I don't know. I think nowadays so many people like mistake like social media with love. So they feel like, oh, because they're popular on social media that they're loved. But then they're not loved, kind of thing, because they are just famous on social media, but they don't have like a close-knit circle of friends or people they can rely on, or family or whatever. And I think that is love. So people who are around you, not just in good times, but any times.
What do you wish for yourself?
I wish more success for myself. I've always had this kind of idea and motto or whatever that I'd like to follow through, or that as you rise, you lift. So as I continue to climb, just people around me getting high and elevating themselves. So just continuous success for myself, people around me, so that we can grow together.
By what standards do you judge yourself?
By what very low standards. I think the lower the standards you judge yourself, the the less pain that you'll find yourself in. Because I think if you can be your own biggest critic, then what other people may say about you or their opinions shouldn't really matter, because you've already beat yourself down. Does that make sense? I already said, oh, he's an ugly guy. So if you had to say I'm ugly, it's fine. I've already been there.
I am most happy. I am most happy when?
I am most happy when I'm happy. Full stop.
How do you define happiness?
I think happiness is whatever makes you happy.
What makes you happy?
Dodging this question. I think happiness is just like content, feeling like so maybe like a little thing. So like, say, like I was saying earlier on, like, so I'd plan my day, and then I've achieved everything I needed to plan over, or that I'd planned over that day. That would give me a sense of, okay, I feel content, I feel happy, I feel like, oh, I've succeeded in what I wanted to do that day. So there's various stages of happiness. Maybe little things like going overseas, enriching myself by learning about different people, watching a show, listening to a piece of music that just makes me feel like, oh, this is something that maybe I haven't seen, haven't done, haven't tasted before. These little things could make me happy.
I believe in
miracles. I believe in myself. Full stop. Because if I don't believe in myself, who the hell will believe in me? Sounding like a RuPaul TV show sign out.
What is your personal mission statement?
So I've had various personal mission statements. When I was in the entertainment kind of sphere or whatever, I was always like, I want to achieve influence within the entertainment space. And then I think that got to the point of when Mika would say, oh, you have to listen to this CD, or you have to go to this club or whatever, I had some kind of influence. And then it kind of changed to like having more of an influence within the fitness space. If Mika had to say, do this, do that, or using my influence to try inspire people to maybe get fit or get healthy, or at least aim towards getting healthy. So I think that's ish where I am right now, of just using my influence to help people and to motivate people, to inspire people. For a while it was to entertain people and to influence them in a certain way. So my motto is to use my influence to the better. And I should be your Miss Universe.